Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. It's weather in 5 days in 5 minutes as we finally made it to a Friday. And I think we get through today, and then we're going to see some better weather over the weekend, particularly on Sunday when low humidity takes over. And it looks like we could actually stay dry into the middle of next week. So that kind of summarizes the next 5 days. So let's get there. We do have flash flood watches up for parts of Maryland and northeastern Virginia. And since the thunderstorm activity has been extensive in southeastern Pennsylvania and southern New Jersey, back through parts of Delaware into the Delmarva Peninsula, you might see this expanded a little bit today. The other issue is just a marine issue for the shores of Long Island, where rip currents are a big deal today with rough ocean seas. You've got small craft advisories offshore for high seas, so just bear that in mind in case you are beach bound. Rainfall, I think, is going to also be the bigger issue today, as opposed to the severe weather that we've experienced over the last couple of days. So I think rain is going to be more front and center. And for showers and thunderstorms that we're going to be seeing this afternoon and into tonight, we're looking at rainfall amounts that are going to have some variability depending on where these storms form. So some areas could wind up with a quick inch and a quarter or inch and a half, or maybe even higher amounts, while you go to some other spots where the storms perhaps have less impact or are much weaker, and you're talking about rainfall amounts that could very well be under a half an inch or less. So just kind of paint a very broad brush from northeast Virginia on up into southern New England with regards to the total precipitation amounts. Now, here's the radar as of 8:30 this morning. We've had some showers and thunderstorms in parts of the area during the overnight. We seem to have this weak conveyor belt, and you see it here from northeast Virginia to southern New England with some showers. I'm suspecting that those will probably die out, and then we'll see a new area, a new conveyor belt form late this afternoon into this evening that'll be further south and east. So in between that, we will just have warm and humid conditions, and then we'll get into perhaps some showers and storms. So I'll just take you through the models this afternoon and into this evening, and just show you what's happening here. So this is what's left from overnight and this morning, and of course they start to fire up inland and then gradually shift southward this evening and tonight. So it's in this band that runs from western North Carolina on up into southern New England that you're going to see some downpours and heavy rains. And you see how this model handles it, at least. And then gradually this shifts offshore during the early morning hours. Saturday, we will see more in the way of sunshine. The humidity will be trending lower. It might take a little while for that to happen. There's a cold front moving through, and then there's a secondary dry line that's coming by in the afternoon. Outside chance that there could be an isolated shower with that. I'm just going to mention it. I think the chances are pretty low, but for the vast majority of folks tomorrow, it should be a dry day with temperatures in the 80s. And then Sunday, cool high pressure builds down from eastern Canada down into the mid-Atlantic states. We should have a really good-looking day with sunshine and temperatures just in the 70s. And then Monday and Tuesday and probably Wednesday of next week, that high is going to be in control. So we won't have any major issues regarding that, regarding any showers until maybe on Thursday. And just to give you an idea in terms of what to expect regarding temperatures today, upper 70s to some middle 80s. The further south you go, the more sun you will get. The Storm Prediction Center has a risk area identified for today, and that is going to be for southern New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, southward into Virginia. It's just a marginal risk of severe weather. We've been seeing slight risk and enhanced risk over the last couple of days. That might get pushed northward later today. We'll just have to watch the radar, and you can see the risk areas that are going on in other places. 5% chance of damaging winds, but two tornado chances are less than 2% in all areas. Want to take a look at Cristobal, which is about to emerge into the Gulf of Mexico. It is starting to move to the northeast as advertised. And once the center completely emerges over the open waters of the Gulf, we expect this to strengthen. The Hurricane Center has kept the track relatively consistent, running from off the Yucatan Peninsula and then just heading straight north or northwestward. I think it's going to strengthen, and I think there's an outside chance that this could reach perhaps 65 or 70 miles an hour before landfall. It doesn't have ideal strengthening conditions, but it should strengthen some. And we're looking for landfall along the Louisiana coast sometime Sunday night. It doesn't really move all that fast. So the big issue with this is going to be heavy rains. Looking at the Weather Prediction Center, in addition to whatever rain has already fallen, and there's been quite a bit of it from Florida on northwestward into into Louisiana, we're looking at an additional 5 to maybe 7 inches of rain over the next 7 days. And obviously, the bulk of this is going to come in through from now until Tuesday. So, big rains, I think, are going to be the bigger story here. We are going to likely see flash flood issues with this. Before it's all said and done, you take a look at the hazards that are up. We already have flash flood watches up for central and south Florida for more heavy rain today, and for southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. And we expect that flash flood area to be expanded going forward. Quickly, we'll look at what the NAM model has to say about this. And follows along with pretty much with what the European did last night. We can't see what's further south, so I'm just going to start this off for the first frame at 2 o'clock this afternoon. The low center emerging offshore, and then you just kind of see it sort of wobbles its way northward as we move through Saturday, and it starts to tighten up a bit as it gets further and further north. So we're thinking that it's going to try and organize waves of rain continuing to sweep northward. As we go through the weekend, the rain emphasis shifts away from Florida and more toward the Gulf Coast. Kind of gets a burst here at the last minute before moving inland, and landfall doesn't come until about early Monday morning sometime. So the slower movement is probably going to prolong the rain issues. And just really quick, we'll take a look at the upper air here in the eastern half of the United States, at least what the driving force through all of this is. I know I'm going a little longer today, but just real fast. You've got a trough that's going to be coming through here in the east. Meanwhile, you have an upper high that's building off the east coast and another upper high that moves right across the middle Mississippi Valley. Cristobal is underneath that. The high gives way and it moves northward. And of course, we've got this trough coming through tomorrow that pulls cooler air down from Canada, and a nice big ridge builds into the eastern part of the United States for next week. So that wraps it up, folks. Move along on this Friday as we prepare for whatever showers and thunderstorms we'll have to deal with. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show will be on tonight at 7 o'clock on YouTube. We'll be updating all the weather locally and nationally for the weekend and going forward. And, of course, we'll have the latest on Cristobal, which should become a tropical storm again either later today or tonight.